ever heard of the book, The Five Love Languages? It's one of the New York Times bestsellers, and also it's by Dr. Gary Chapman. And that book talks about different love language or ways that people can learn about who they are and also how they can love their spouses. So today we're going to be talking about how the five love languages can help you and your spouse in developing connection. Rhonda Brown, registered nurse, counselor, marriage and family therapist, and relationship coach. And welcome to the Art of Connection Therapy channel, where we talk about connection to God, connection to ourselves, and connection to one another, so that we can move toward having the kinds of relationships that we were created to have. So let's get right into it. What is a love language? Well, according to the book, a love language is a way that we feel that we're loved. So it's certain things that people can do and ways that we're wired to feel that our spouses or our intimate partners truly love us. And everyone has a love language. Actually, we have all five of the love language that Dr. Chapman talks about in his book, but there are some that are more pronounced or primary love languages for some and not for others. And so once you become aware of what your love language is, then you can communicate that to your spouse so that your spouse can now learn how to meet your emotional needs, and vice versa. Once you learn your spouse's love language, then you can begin to love them in the way that they feel loved. A lot of times in couples, what kind of happens is that they love their spouse the same way that they want to feel loved. But then that may land for the spouse in a way that doesn't quite get it, and they don't necessarily feel like their spouse understands them or loves them, because the way that the spouse is showing love may not be in their particular language. So again, this book really helps us to gain self-awareness about what it is that makes us tick, as well as what makes our spouse tick. So the first love language is words of affirmation. That is encouraging words, kind words, compliments, praises. If that is someone's primary love language, then they really like to be complimented, and they like it when their spouse or their intimate partner verbalizes how much they appreciate them or love them or the good things about them. So in a relationship, if you find out that either you or maybe your spouse rather really loves words of affirmation, like that's their primary love language, then what you can do is maybe 1 to 2 times a day giving them genuine compliments or genuine praise about the good things that they're doing in the relationship. There are always things that people are doing. Sometimes we take them for granted. Sometimes we just notice them or don't really say anything about them. But again, if you know your spouse's primary love language is words of affirmation, that means to hear those words really makes them feel loved, then you certainly want to find opportunities to tell them how much you love them by giving them praises and compliments. Like, for example, maybe I really like today how you took the time out or you left work early to come and spend time with us. It might be something that your spouse does every now and then, but typically you don't say anything. But sharing that with them, communicating that to them, may make them feel loved. The second love language is quality time. Now, quality time is an interesting one because sometimes people think if we're just around each other, that is quality time. So you may have the couple that's sitting on the couch together, maybe watching TV, or one person's on their phone, the other one's on their tablet, and they think that is quality time. But for people whose primary love language is quality time, they know that it takes more than that to really fulfill that need and really feel like they're loved. So when we're talking about quality time, what we're referring to is time where you're giving to your partner that is undivided. You're giving them your undivided attention. So for example, if you really wanted to do that for your spouse because you find out that's what their primary love language is, what you may want to do is, if you guys do weekly date nights, then maybe what you want to do is sprinkle those date nights with time that is quality time. So you can go out to the movies and things like that, but maybe the following week, what you want to do is actually go on a walk together where you're kind of tuned into one another, where you're talking, you're sharing. That is what constitutes as quality time. And that really helps the person who has that primary love language of quality time to feel that they are important, that they are loved, that they are valued, that their spouse enjoys being with them as much as they enjoy being with their spouse. The third love language is gifts. So gifts are exactly what you think it is. Gifts, buying, or maybe not necessarily buying or making. It doesn't have to be something that is purchased, but the person who really loves gifts, and that is their primary love language, may sometimes when people hear that, they feel like, oh, maybe not. Maybe that means I'm a gold digger or something like that. And that doesn't mean that. That just means that that's one of the things that you need to feel loved. And that is okay. For you to be able to acknowledge that, to recognize that, and then communicate how you would like that to look from your spouse. So when we're talking about gifts, one of the things you can do is kind of a gift week where every day you kind of shower your spouse or your loved one with a small gift. Again, it's something that may be purchased. It may be something that is made from the heart. But just imagine how that would make your spouse feel if their primary love language is gifts, and how much they would feel loved. That would be a week that they would never forget. The next love language that we have is acts of service. Acts of service kind of sounds a little bit like gifts, but service is more of like doing something. So maybe your spouse needs help with cleaning the house, or they may need help with doing whatever the task or the chore is. If that's their primary love language, when they have their spouse responding to their needs by participating, by doing acts of service for them, then that really resonates with them and makes them feel loved. So one of the things you want to do if you find out that that is your spouse's primary love language is maybe even asking them what are some of the things that they would like, or what is some of the things that they would need from you. And then when you find out, doing some of those things and letting them know that you're doing them because it's a partnership, because you love them. That would really make them feel loved, because it helps them to feel that they're not alone, that you actually care about them, and that what they actually want and need matters to you. And then we have the fifth love language, which is physical touch. Physical touch is one where the person really likes to have someone physically touch them. And it may not always be in a sexual way. Sex may also be in there as well. But the person whose primary love language is physical touch isn't all about sex. Usually they like to sit close to their spouses, or they like to hold hands, or maybe when you're walking next to your spouse, where you're on your way to the kitchen to get something, you just rub your hand over your spouse's head or your neck. That would really make your spouse feel loved. And there are quite a few people that really love physical touch because it helps them to feel loved. You think of even babies. As soon as they come out of the womb, I'm a nurse, so of course I think medical sometimes, but as soon as babies come out of the womb, what do? Unless there's any complications or anything like that. But if it's just a normal delivery or normal birth, what do the nurses and doctors usually do? They take the baby and they lay the baby on the mom. Why? Because there's a power in physical touch. So it's not just something that, again, just adults need, but children need that as well. It communicates love, it communicates caring, and for the person whose primary love language is physical touch, it communicates that even more. So those are the 5 love languages in a nutshell, which really may help you to foster and maintain that connection between you and your spouse. Because like I said in one of my other videos, love, intimate love, is a partnership. It's where two people are able to give and to take. And when there's that in a relationship and people really feel loved and their needs are being met, then they can face the world. They can face the world, which can sometimes be cold and cruel and even harsh. The other thing I want to say is just as you start to practice, right? Again, it's a language. If it isn't your primary love language and you're learning maybe your spouse's primary love language, it's going to take some time. In the beginning, it will seem mechanical, right? But as you continue to do it, just like anything else, it will become easier. It will become part of you. It will become a part of the relationship. So definitely don't give up if you find that you're kind of tripping or not doing it perfectly. As long as you're able to try and your spouse can see that and they're trying as well, then that will definitely cause your relationship to go in the right way as in terms of connection and satisfaction. So what are your primary love languages? Do you have one that kind of dominates over the other? From this video, were you able to find out what your spouse's or your partner's primary love language is? Leave it in the comments below. If you found this information helpful, please be sure to like and subscribe. Also, you can hit the notification bell so that when I produce more videos, you can watch them and see them as they are released. And third, you can also check out my website at www.theartofconnectiontherapy.com. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you next time. And always remember that connection is an art worth mastering. Take care.